talked about the, sort of the different roles that people will play in the Stroke Action Plan for Europe, and we now want to get the healthcare professionals' view of things. Bo Norrving is the coordinator of the Stroke Action Plan for Europe. He's a professor in neurology at Lund University in Sweden. He also, very importantly, chairs the World Stroke Organization Global Policy Committee and is the voice representing stroke at the WHO and the UN. So hugely knowledgeable in this area and very interested to get your view on things. Bo, thank you.
So thank you very much. And first of all, thanks to SAFE and to John for putting this together. I'm very happy to be here on behalf of the group that developed the Stroke Action Plan. Valeria and Casa and myself served as chair and co-chair of this group. I'm also happy to be here on behalf of the ESO. We have the president, Bart van der Werf, who is present here. I also have greetings from the World Stroke Organization, which strongly endorses and supports this initiative. So what can the health professional do in this role? Well, we can bring you a very good message at this time. We heard about the effects of the stroke on disability and death, and what we can say now for sure is that the opportunities now to curb the effects of stroke have dramatically improved. This is a fantastic change that has happened in the stroke field. It has been two previous declarations on stroke in Europe. These are the Helsingborg Declaration, one in the 1990s, one about 10 years later, and now we have the third European Stroke Action Plan from ESO and from SAFE. So if we are looking across this time perspective from the 1990s, and I personally have seen this from even before and seen all these changes, this is a remarkable period that we have witnessed. We have seen a harvest of the research and all the investments, and now we have effective therapies. We have organized stroke care, stroke units in one cornerstone. We have the acute therapies with thrombolytic therapies and thrombectomy, another cornerstone. We have the secondary prevention, a third one, and we have the rehabilitation. It's been remarkable progress with a disease that has come from able to do nothing to be one of the most successful areas in clinical medicine overall. It's been a harvest period. It's no high risk today, no high risk project to invest in stroke. We know that it delivers, it works, and it will have effects. So also we now have proof of evidence that we can prevent strokes. And these are data from the Swedish Stroke Registry. This was the first national stroke registry in the world. These are the types of registers and data that we now want in every country in Europe to be able to follow what is happening in the stroke. And the miracle we are seeing now in Sweden since 2010 and onwards is a reduction in the number of strokes, both first and recurrent stroke. And in plain numbers, 1 out of 6 strokes in Sweden disappeared over this time period. We were able to counterbalance the effect of aging of the population and increasing of the population. And this is also the survival tool, the survival kit for the health system. If we don't do it, they will not be able to take care of this number of patients. We can estimate that over this 7-year period, it was about 14,000 strokes that did not occur, and we correspond to a societal gain of 1 billion euro. So I have a couple of important remarks, and one is this: we can prevent stroke, we can treat stroke. Investing in NCDs and stroke is a sound investment that will deliver. There is no risk-taking here. It will deliver. So this is another slide from the Swedish Stroke Registry showing the development of thrombolytic therapy over the last couple of years. It's now 15% in 2017. It may look like a very good curve. Is it actually? Well, we should be up on this level. 20%. 15% is not the final way where we should be. We should be much higher. And the more important thing on this slide, if we look at this area in red, this is the segment of missed opportunity. If we are looking back, It's partial success, it has been improvement, but also a partial failure that over these years, it's been very many patients who have not got the services that should have. And looking at the situation in Europe today, we can say, and this is another important statement from me, that probably more than half of the stroke patients in Europe today do not get the evidence-based basic therapies. The majority do not get that today in Europe, and this is a very serious message. So again, back to the stroke action plan. This sets the targets. You heard about the need to reduce the number of strokes in Europe. You heard about that the patients with stroke should be placed at the right type of unit from the very beginning. One of the key elements is a national stroke plans, not only focusing on the acute care, but the entire chain of care, including life after stroke and the effects on the patients. And then to integrate this in a multisectorial way together with other NCD and working together and prevent stroke and other NCDs. These are some of the core elements. This was developed also without any influence of industry and conflict of interest. It was a transparent process, and it was a very good process together with SAFE, which I'm very pleased to report on. So what is the role of healthcare professional? Well, we shouldn't look only at the hospital sector. We should provide the scientific evidence and advice. We should engage in all aspects of stroke prevention and stroke care. We need to engage also in economical issues. We need to engage in priority settings. We need to work together with other relevant stakeholders. We need to look at the progress of the disease and the quality of the services. We need this type of data to see what is happening, and we need a long-term implementation plan. So here you see in the central part of this slide the different NGOs. What can they do? Well, we can work with the healthcare professionals. We produce guidelines. We can work and inform the general population. What can you do to prevent a stroke? How should you act when there is a suspicion of a stroke? Go acutely to the hospital. We can work together with stroke support organizations like SAFE. We can give advice to WHO and governmental bodies, and then we need to work very closely together with national policy and decision makers, because one other key message from me is that we cannot do this alone. None of these segments can do this alone. We need to work together to achieve this. We have in the European Stroke Action Plan the combination of the voice of the healthcare professionals and the voice of the patients. Now we need the support of the decision makers. I'm very keen to hear the discussion later today on how this will be achieved with the support from the EU, with the blessings from the EU and from other organizations. And in this, my final slide is a very serious message, also a major message that this is very important with time. While we are discussing now, while we are sitting here, things happening. Stroke continues to occur, patients continue to get substandard care, becoming disabled or dying. We shouldn't wait till 2030. We should do it much earlier, as early as possible. Thank you very much.